Okay, welcome to this wonderful meeting of Corporate Services Committee, beginning of February. I'd like to call the meeting to order and look for any disclosures of pecuniary interest. Seeing any disclosures, I would like to just point out we're all wearing toques and looking a little bit silly inside because it's Toque Tuesday. Toque Tuesday raises money for ending homelessness around the country. In London, Ontario, it happens to be in support of the Unity Project, which is a wonderful shelter that works on a peer-supported model in Ward 4, as it turns out. And they do fantastic work, and so anything you can do to support Toque Tuesday and support the Unity Project, I know would go a long way. They make great use of the money that they do receive from private donors and from public support. I'm looking at the consent items, colleagues, 2 through 5, and I'm wondering if any of those you'd like to pull from consent to discuss separately.
3.
Any of the others? Okay, so let's pull 3 and we'll put 2, 4, and 5 up. Okay, that's been moved and seconded. Any comments on 2, 4, or 5? From the chair, I would just say for number 4, I'm glad to only have 2 items on the variance report for the strategic plan. I know there's a lot of milestones in the strategic plan, only 2 of which are tracking a little below plan for Corporate Services Committee. I don't know how the other committees are doing, but we seem to be staying on top of things. So thank you, colleagues, and thank you to the staff who report into this committee.
Closing the vote, that motion carries 5-0.
Okay, that brings us to item number 3. Oh, it looks like Deputy Mayor Hubert either didn't vote or not logged in. Did you? A yay, okay. Oh, that's no problem. We have a scheduled item, so I think we'll deal with the one that was pulled. Item number 3, this is the amendment to the city flags policy, flags at City Hall policy. Councillor Van Holst.
Thank you very much. I was just wanted to perhaps introduce a clarification for the conflicts under number 10. Seems to me there may be a situation where somebody requests an entire week and then a couple other groups could ask for a particular day and lose out. And should we have it be that there's a preference given to single days over longer periods? So,
Are you talking about the flag policy or the days at Budweiser Gardens?
the flag policy, that's number 3, right?
So perhaps clarify for me, I'm not sure I'm following. So what exactly would you like to see change?
In the flag policy on number 10, on page 10, it talks about conflicts. And I think there's the possibility of another conflict. It's said if people apply for the same day, then it'll be given preference to the person or the group that applies first. But it also allows a group to apply for an entire week. And we maybe have a situation where someone applies for a week, somebody later comes for a day, and then maybe we should give preferences to days. I mean, you could have, somebody could have an entire week where 4 other groups go without. So I wonder if something like that would be helpful there.
I see out of the corner of my eye, up in the top corner, almost like a wrestler coming in from the top turnbuckle, the city clerk. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was listening in, so I came running in. If we do have a conflict where someone has the flag for a week or the lighting of the building for a week and another group comes in, we do approach the group that has it for the full week to see if they're willing to give up a day or so of their week to the other group. And if the two groups are able to work it out, and generally that is the case, then we do work with both groups to make that happen if possible.
Okay, that seems fine.
Any other discussion? If not, let's have that moved and seconded. Opening the vote.
Closing the vote, and that motion carries 6-0.
Okay, colleagues, item number 6 is a scheduled item for 1 o'clock. So what I'd like to suggest we do is skip over that, move on to the appointments, 7 and 8. They may require a rank ballot. As you see, they're for different committees. If that's the case, we perhaps can do the voting, nominate people, and then do the ranking, and then have our clerks do the tallying while we deal with number 9, and perhaps even while we go in camera, and then we can come back out. How does that sound?
Mr. Chair, I neglected this. I saw it earlier and I didn't mention it, but I will declare a pecuniary interest on item number 8, which is the Accessible Advisory Committee, because one of the applicants I have a professional relationship with. So I think it would be best if I recuse myself on that.
Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you through the chair. I'd like to also let the committee know that Wendy Lau has removed her name from the consideration for category number 8.
I now no longer have a pecuniary interest, so thank you, clerk.
Okay, so let's deal with item number 7, which is the Transportation Advisory Committee. And I think the best way to handle it is to have some nominations and then we'll do a ranked ballot. Does the colleagues support that approach? Okay, go ahead.
I'd like to nominate Tariq Khan, based on what he has submitted to us.
Any other nominations? Councillor Zaveman?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to put forward Storm Morgan and Sean O'Connell.
Okay. That leaves Mr. Foster, Mr. Worsfold. Anyone want to nominate either of those folks?
Well, Mr. Chair, I would nominate Mr. Foster, although I would have nominated Mr. Tariq Khan too.
Okay. That leaves Mr. Worsfold. Okay, I'm gonna nominate Mr. Worsfold. He looks like a good candidate. Nice problem to have. All kinds of great people want to be on the Transportation Advisory Committee. So let's get a ranked ballot distributed with those candidates. Just to remind everyone, we're looking for 2 members at large, so the top 2 candidates will be the ones who come forward in a motion. It's a great idea from the Vice Chair. Thank you, Councillor Morgan. Why don't we move on to item number 8, where there are no pecuniary interests, as we have learned. We're looking for 1 position. Nominations, Councillor Zaveman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess to keep it simple, just put all the names forward for consideration and we'll have a ranked ballot with all of them.
It's very efficient. Great, let's circulate the ballots for that. All 3 people being nominated by Councillor Zaveman. Okay, now that we've passed on the ballots to the clerk for 7 and 8, what I'd like to suggest we do is table those items while the tallying happens, move on to item number 9. Consent from the committee for that, okay. Item number 9 is to have the Forest City Beer Fest 2008 winter event designated as municipally significant event. Is there a mover for that? Councillor Morgan and Councillor Van Holst, thank you. Any discussion? Councillor Safeman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Glad to say that after about a year and a half of taking myself off of beer because of my concussion, I have recently gotten back into the craft beer game, or I don't know what you would call it exactly. I guess returning to my proud role as a craft beer ambassador for the city here, unofficial. And I think it's kind of a funny thing. I know if Councillor Usher was here, I'd probably make a comment about this. I know we have a policy coming, but frankly, I think one of the nice things about when we get to talk about these things is the incredible small and interesting events that we have in our community, and this is just another one of them, so it's great to see.
Thank you. I believe if I recall correctly, it was at Stormstade Brewery that you came back to beer. And I think that's great to see it opening up in Old South. You can't have all the craft breweries in Ward 4. And so I'm glad to see that they're branching out all over the city. I think in Ward 8, in Ward 4, in Ward 11, in Ward 7, there's a lot of craft breweries happening. And sorry about that, Deputy Mayor Hubert. I think it might have been the old boundaries. I thought I was missing out. It's been moved and seconded.
Closing the vote, and that motion carries 5-0.
Okay, we have 2 items for confidential session. I just want to check in with the clerk to see if you'd like to do it now or after the confidential session? After, okay. Can I have a motion to go into closed session? Councillor Zafman, Councillor Van Holst, let's get that up on the screen. The reasons are listed on the public agenda. I'm not going to read them all out, but there's no changes to the reasons that were published. Okay, let's just have that moved and seconded. Opening the vote.
Closing the vote, that motion carries 5-0.
Okay, we're headed to committee room 3. I'm not sure how long we will be, but we don't do the apportionment of taxes until 1 o'clock, so probably if you're sticking around for that exciting item, stick around till 1 o'clock. Okay, we've got a quorum of committee members back here in public session. Thank you. And let's go back to, well, first let's report progress, and I'll wait for my vice chair to have his seat. Vice Chair Morgan, I wonder if you could report progress.
Yes, I'd be happy to report progress on matters C1 and C2, which are listed up on the public agenda.
Thank you very much for that. Colleagues, we have 7 and 8 that are still outstanding, and I wonder if we could check with the clerk to see the tallies from the ranked ballots we did earlier today. Okay, there's the results before us. Would anyone like to see the various rounds? You'll see that Storm Morgan, I think, is the person who's been nominated along with Tariq Khan. Those are the top 2 candidates. If anyone would like to see the different rounds, now is the time to say that. Okay, those will be included in the package that goes to council, so if anyone's curious, they can see it there. Okay, let's pull up the other one. Okay, it looks like Pamela Quesnel is the person who is coming forward as an appointment, having done best on the original rank ballot and then surviving all the way to the end. Okay, anyone want to see the rounds for that? No? Okay. Let's have a motion, perhaps we can do them all together. Okay, we got that motion up. Let's get a mover and a seconder for that. And I would like to say for everyone who put their name forward to serve on advisory committee, thank you for your interest. We have a lot of great candidates. Unfortunately, we can only put 3 people in right now, but there will be vacancies opening up as the 2018 municipal election comes around. And I would encourage anyone who's interested in serving on advisory committees to start checking them out now. Look at the materials that they are dealing with, the kind of advice that they're giving to council. It is a good opportunity to give advice into the municipal policy process, and there are a lot of appointments, hundreds in fact, across all the various advisory committees, so hopefully people will look towards that for 2018. Okay, the vote's open.
Closing the vote, and that motion carries 5-0.
Thank you very much, colleagues. That brings us to our scheduled item, which was scheduled for 1 o'clock, and we're just 2 minutes behind schedule. This is the apportionment of taxes. I see Deputy Mayor Hubert moving it. Is there a seconder for that? Just going to look around the room to make sure that there's no members of the public who are interested in weighing in on the apportionment of taxes agenda. I see 2 members of the media. I imagine you're not interested in weighing in on the apportionment of taxes. Last call for anyone who's interested. Okay, I don't see anyone, so that's been moved and seconded. Open it up. So I'm just, you noted in the motion that's before us, it says it being noted that there are no members of the public in attendance to speak to the committee at the public hearing associated with this matter. Okay. Let's open the vote.
Closing the vote, and that motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, colleagues. Look to see if there's any additional business. I don't see any. Is there a motion to adjourn? Councillor Zafman, Councillor Morgan. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Thanks for a good meeting.